Today is November 27th, and I have just finished watching the first volume of Strange Things 5. I can't believe it's finally out, and we need to talk about Byler in it. I've got to admit, I was a little disappointed by the lack of Byler scenes we got in this, but we did get the Will and Robin friendship, and looking on Tumblr in the past 10 minutes, it's restored I still did have a lot of faith from that scene in episode 4, but looking on Tumblr has restored my faith even more that Violet's going to be endgame. I just The entire volume was amazing. It lived up to everything that I wanted it to. Obviously, this video will have spoilers the entirety of the video, so if you want to obviously not see that, go watch the series and then come back to this video and then we can discuss spoiler together. I can't tell you how hyped I am about everything in volume 1, and but especially Violet, because this video isn't going to be as perfect and scripted as mine usually are, because as if you can probably tell, I'm really excited by all of it and I just need to speak it out and speak to other people about what they think. So obviously we only really got one-on-one scene between Byler in volume 1, but that does make me hopeful for an amazing volume 2, because Noah has said in the past in interviews that he's been with Finn in every scene. So I think that means volume 2 we're gonna get a lot of Mike and Will one-on-ones, because otherwise where were they this volume? It doesn't make sense. And it was just, their interactions were so. Also, I find it hilarious that we were like, oh my god, their hair is wet from Lover's Lake. No, their hair is wet from them having to deal with a leak from a sink in a bunker, which is just so funny to me. So first, let's start at episode 1. So first, Will sees Robin and Vicky kissing, and this sets up one of my favourite friendships in the entire show. I just love them. I love how sweet they are. I love how they can relate to each other, how they've actually found someone else who is queer and can have the same experiences as them. And Will sort of looking up to Robin as a gay mentor because she's actually in a relationship. It's just so sweet. And Mike's yearning face when Will doesn't put his hand in first, and then him rushing to aid him when he falls down in the woods, and after says, oh, you okay? Oh my god. And then obviously episode 1 we also got the Mike and 11 scene, and this is the only Mike and 11 scene we got in volume 1. So really each ship has had one scene one-on-one, so there are equal bearings at the moment, and the painting hasn't been brought up either, and that's going to be brought up. It just has to be, because we know it was used in season 5. It's been used in lots of merch. We know it's important, and they're not going to leave it open-ended and just let the lie continue for the rest of the time. So that's definitely going to be addressed in volume 2. But Mike and Eleven didn't act romantic to each other. They hugged, they're always going to be friends. They're always going to care about each other. But none of their conversation said anything about their feelings for each other whatsoever. So many people were completely right about what Mike was saying. It was about Dustin acting angry and reckless and stuff, not Will. But it's still I can't believe that Free Waterfalls was real. It's just hilarious to me. Yeah, so that's the first episode. And then the second episode, I feel yeah, episode 2. Sorry, I have literally only just watched it, so it's hard to remember, and I have only watched it once, obviously. But when Robin tries to approach the subject of her and Vicky having a good friendship that some people wouldn't understand, and Will's just yeah, and yeah, and Will trying to pretend that he wasn't there is so fun, and I love their dynamic so much. It's just so good. And then we move on to episode 3, which is the proper start to things, in my opinion, because in episode 1 and 2, Mike and Will interacted within the group, but to be honest, I'm just happy that Mike and Will are in the same room again and interacting, and we have new scenes of them. And Mike is so back to being the leader this season. I've been wanting this for so long, and he's finally back in the action, finally helping all the children and everyone get to safety. And it just makes so much sense for his character. And they're actually doing it now. And now when we're on episode 3, my favourite scene in the entire volume, apart from the one in episode 4, which I will get on to, is Will and Robin going to visit Mrs. Massey, I think her name is, but obviously ending up in the other guy's hospital room, and them having the conversation about obviously Will acknowledging that he did see Robin and Vicky. And oh my, the lines at first, they were so funny when Will was like, "Well, you could just kiss her again," and Ron was like, "Oh, I knew that bowl cut." And he's like, "The bowl cut isn't very popular anymore." Like, I just love that they addressed the bowl cut allegations. It was so funny, and Robin honestly has been such a star of the show in volume 1. I love it so much because she's one of my favorite characters. I like her one-liners, and she's just been so funny, and it was so good. But yeah, so the obviously acknowledging the Will story, and Will's obviously fine with it because he's gay as well, but he hasn't told Robin that yet. I'm interested for when he is gonna. I mean, I don't think he needs to overtly come out to Robin because it's a complete understanding between them as we see in episode 4. But I'm really like curious for sort of how like a more like explicit conversation could, explicit in the sense of him actually saying I'm gay and her saying I'm a lesbian, but I don't really think that needs to happen at this point because they completely understand each other, and it's so nice for them to have someone that actually understands everything they're going through, who isn't someone they're dating like Robin has Vicky. And also they sort of have unique perspectives as well because they don't like the opposite gender as well, because Vicky likes both well, she's bisexual, we can assume, so sort of that's a unique experience in itself, so them being able to speak to each other is so nice. But then Will asking, how do you know when someone likes you back? And like Robin like saying like, oh, the touches, like stuff like that. And Will asking that shows that he hasn't lost hope. If he had like completely lost hope, then surely he would think that Mike's never going to like him back. He wouldn't be asking for what are the signs if someone likes him. And also, it would be so pointless for them to introduce a new character in volume 2 or the finale and like show these signs of liking Will, because that just wouldn't be satisfying to his character arc at all. Like, as a screenwriter, you don't set up signs to look for if someone likes another person if you don't want the audience to look for that. We already know that Will likes Mike. We don't need to see the signs of Will liking Mike because that's confirmed to us. What we need to see are the signs that Mike likes Will, and they have been scattered all over the season. Like not even season, the whole show. Like they're all there, and that's designed for the general audience to look back at those moments between Mike and Will, those touches, as we saw in season 2 when he held his hand when he was possessed by the mind flayer, at the end of season 4 when he touched his shoulder. Like the signs are all there, and that scene is pointing us towards looking at them. And again, as I said, if Will had lost all hope, and if we were meant to assume that Mike could never give those feelings back, then we wouldn't be given this scene to illustrate and highlight the instances where Mike is reciprocating Will's feelings back. Because, and also it highlights that Will has shown none of these signs. Like Mike doesn't know that Will is in love with him because Will has been obviously guarded and not wanting to share his feelings because he thinks that Mike doesn't feel that way and he doesn't want to be rejected or sort of isolated, seen to be the other and like the weirdo and the freak for showing these signs. So he's not going to do it, obviously. And then nothing too significant to Byler happens for the rest of episode 3, although Max coming back, I love Max so much. I'm so excited that she's back, but we can talk about that in another video because I did vlog my reactions to everything. This video will probably go up before just because I'm so excited to get my thoughts out there, but then very soon after I'll upload my video of me watching it for the first time and my reactions to it. And then we have my favourite scene in all of the volume, episode 4, when Mike and Will are outwardly flirting with each other. Like, it's insane. Obviously, they're walking along with the group, but the minute that I saw the like group layout and I saw Mike and Will sort of portion off on their own, I knew we were getting a Byler scene, and that just made me so excited. So obviously they're like speaking about everything that went on, and Mike is the one that poses the idea that Will could have these powers to control the demogorgons, which obviously turns out to be true. And Mike is so smart that I'm not surprised that he was the one who brought it up. And then when Mike is just comparing him to his D&D character because he has that much faith in him and thinks of him as brave and wise, and saying that he's essentially Vecna, and then Will being like, "Oh, well, are you saying I'm evil?" And he's like, "Totally." Like, that is so flirty. And then the smiles they're giving each other, and then Will initiating the contact that Robin told him, told her that Vicky liked her, of like doing a little playful punch into his chest. It's just so cute, and they both like do that little smile afterwards, and like Mike seems a bit flustered, but that is so flirty. And the fact that Robin is looking emphasizes that we're supposed to see it as flirty. Also, we're shown that she's looking before Will like lightly punches Mike's chest, which is the actions that he was motivated to do from Robin's talk, that's how she knew Vicky liked her. So she was watching before any of that happened, and she was still seeing it in a romantic sense, still in a flirting sense. So that means that Mike's behaviour is just as flirty and close, and it's just as an intimate moment from Mike's point of view as Will's point of view. And like her looking at the end when after he's like outwardly flirted with him, and like she doesn't, I mean, obviously, like, I know her gaydar is terrible, but she doesn't look like completely like, I don't know, like beyond all hope. Like, there's still, they wouldn't be putting this flirty scene in if there was no chance that Mike and Will were going to get together. If Malevolent was guaranteed from the start, they wouldn't be setting up that we're supposed to be looking out for these signs of someone liking someone else when we already know that Will is in love with Mike. That would just be pointless. And again, as Noah has said in a previous interview about them being in every scene together, I think Volume 2 is going to give us so many Byler scenes and build on this perfectly. Because remember, Jancy didn't get together until Season 2, Episode 6. Like, and also I hate that Jonathan's planning to propose. That's just so out of Nancy's character, and Jonathan's as well, because he doesn't want his parents' life. Anyway, I'm going on a rant there. But I think this sets them up perfectly. And then onto Robin's talk with Will about accepting himself, and like how much better she felt when she saw that everything she needed was inside her instead of at Tammy. At first, I was very scared that they were doing all this to set up that Will doesn't need Mike and that he's his own hero and he's independent and like doesn't need the boy he's completely head over heels in love with and has been set up throughout all the seasons, and what makes him happy, and rejection from him would just make him more traumatized. And plus we still have the painting to go, which needs to be addressed. But we see that that speech isn't used to just sort of like confirm that Mike doesn't like Will and Will just has to get over that and realize his own value. No, because in the end, when Will's powers are revealed, which I'm so obsessed with, his like eyes going like frosty, and then the nosebleed because it looks like, and the like focus on his hands, which completely parallels Elle's powers. Like, I knew he had, I was not from day one, I was a bit skeptical about how Will having powers, but as you see in like the evolution of my channel, I was very quick to change my mind, and like he has powers and he does have powers, and I'm so pleased. But his powers are motivated by Robin's speech. Vecna tries to use all the times that he's felt he's worthless against him, and especially like the instance in the van when he thinks that Mike doesn't requite his feelings and Vecna using that against him. Why would we be proving Vecna right that Will was right to be upset about that because Mike isn't going to love him back? Like, Robin's speech, it motivates him to find that inner power, and we saw the swing set scene, which I mean, they did like advertise to cast the wrong ages because they wanted like Mike and Will to be 8, and obviously in kindergarten you're not 8. But I don't mind because we saw them meeting for the first time, and he was motivated by his love, obviously for his family, for his friends, but for Mike to save everyone and to hold the Demogorgons. That is, love saved him. And I don't see a satisfying ending where his love for Mike saves the world, but it's not reciprocated. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, it's just, yeah, I really don't get it. And just Mike's face when he sees Will do all of that, and like the like hope and like wonder in his eyes, and like the look of love, in my opinion, that Will is able to do that. And like earlier in the episode when he was like propping him up next to Joyce and be like, "Is it like, hold on, Will, hold on." It's just so sweet. And a Tumblr post said this, which I completely agree with, because I was feeling a little bit disappointed with the lack of Byler scenes in it, but this like restored my faith that this isn't Will's complete arc. If his complete arc was to realize that he was like fine on his own, he could be happy, and he sort of found power in his own independence, and that was it, then that would have been happening in episode 8. But no, it's happened in episode 4. We've got like confirmation from the Duffers that both his supernatural and emotional arc tie up the entire show. So we've like, this is part of his supernatural arc, but like we don't like his emotional arc isn't tied up yet because we haven't seen the painting plot ended, and we haven't seen what I think should happen is that Mike should confess his feelings, or there needs to be some summary up of that plot line. And if he was just supposed to realize that he was better on his own, then that would be happening in episode 8. We wouldn't have 4 episodes still to be able to develop his character and his relationship with Mike, and how they're pretty much going to be like in every scene together for the rest of the show by the sounds of it. So it makes no sense if he's using Robin's speech already now, which obviously helped him with his powers, and then that's also supposed to help him get over Mike. Like, surely that speech would come to mind when he's in a direct like scene with Mike and speaking to him, and like sort of a bittersweet moment where like Mike is maybe talking about Elle, and Will realizes that like he's got to move on and he has to find power in himself. No, it's used in the exact moment when he's finding power through Mike's love to use these powers. Sorry if that was a complete mess. I'm just so excited, and I loved this volume. Everything was amazing. Obviously, I'm going to be doing like more general videos about it. I just wanted to get my thoughts out about Byler first, but I will be rewatching this so many times before the next volume. I cannot wait for the next volume, out in like less than a month, which is just insane. And then the finale, and I can't believe we're not going to think about it being over. We're just going to ride the high of volume 1 today, and our boys being so flirty in that one scene, and I'm just so happy from it, and it was so good. And I feel like I've really channeled Robin in this video by talking really fast and being really excited, but it's just so good. And please comment below what you thought. And I really think like they in no way have they cut off Byler Endgame at all, because they could have easily said in interviews that the whole thing was unrequited, but they haven't. Like, it was so easy to say that, and they haven't. So I have hope, guys. I really do have hope. And that scene is so flattering, not just from Will's side, but from Mike's side. Like, Mike smiles and laughs and makes jokes just as much as Will. Will just does the little, like, thing. And they're not gonna, like, make it obvious in volume 1 because they want it to be a plot twist. I think volume 2 is gonna be our best bet for them making it obvious, and Mike initiating those touches, and Byler being endgame. So I hope you enjoyed this little rant. I think I'm going to be getting this out like pretty soon. I mean, obviously you don't know that, but yeah, I'm just really excited by the new volume, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will probably be a vlog of me watching the series. I just wanted to get this one out first because I've just been so excited by it.